Check, check. I think now it's going to work.
Real talk, real talk. No voice.
Elec engine, hello. Hello to you, if I can finally get some audio through to this thing.
Yeah, no. How would I say?
Oh yeah. Check, check. Now we're in business. I think now it's going to work. What's up, guys? Joe Munoz. Here to talk to you about stuff. What do you guys want to talk about? I got a sheet of questions from when? From last week, 2 weeks ago. It's been the last couple of weeks, people sending in questions. I'm going to go through as much as I can. Shally just printed it off and handed it to me. So I'm going to read it. I went over them quickly, but frankly, I'm going to read them together with you live. All right. If you have any questions while we're here, throw them in the chat or call into the show, 786-536-2002. I don't, but something tells me you're about to get it. Thank you very much. 786-536-2002. 786-536-2002. Thank you so much. All right. So, hey, let's get to it. All right. First question. Charles. Charles says it would be helpful if Joe would be able to teach computations on landing or takeoff distance or any practical computation using the QRH that are essential to regular flight. I'm not sure, Charles, if which airplane you're referring to, but this is actually an interesting point, and we very much have this content recorded and just not yet in the online courses. But we recorded a brake cooling schedule for the 737. We recorded a landing distance assessment for inclusive of a non-normal condition for the 737, and we also did the same thing for the A320. So I would expect to have that available shortly. So it's funny that you ask about it. Kevin, 2 videos of content come to mind. While classmates and I seem to have down when the standby hydraulic system activates, the often discussion is an understanding of exactly what the standby system is powering at that time. Okay. During activation of alternate flap switch, is the standby motor still sending hydraulic power to the rudder? Okay, so I think, Kevin, what Kevin is asking is basically, I know when the standby system activates, what is it actually powering? When the standby system activates, this is what I would tell you, Kevin. One of the key things that happens is the opening of the standby rudder shutoff valve. When the valve opens, we allow fluid flow to all receiving units. So what receives fluid from the standby hydraulics? The thrust reversers, leading edge devices, and of course we also have the rudder. So keep in mind I said leading edge device, not trailing edge. The trailing edge, hence what we're talking about with the alternate flap, is very much an electric motor. Okay, so standby got the thrust reversers, leading edge devices, auto slats, and also the rudder. So just because it does have fluid available to those units doesn't mean it necessarily has to be used, but it's available. And so, I guess to answer your question, what in all is available? As long as the standby hydraulic pump is in activation and the standby rudder shutoff valve is open, all receiving units have pressure and fluid available. All right. 2 GPS receivers. Let me get through some of these questions here real quick. Quick question. Please advise correct order for reading FMA after arming approach mode. Loc, glide slope, Cat 3 dual autopilot 1 and 2. Left to right. Glide slope blue, Loc blue, Cat 3 dual autopilot 1 and 2. So you're going to say glide slope first, localizer second, followed by Cat 3 dual autopilot 1 and 2. All right. Question about the separation to maintain in jet aircraft. Do I have to worry about that? You do not need to worry about separation if you're under an IFR flight plan and under the guidance of ATC. The only time really you're going to need to be worried about separation in terms of your actual responsibility is if you're on a visual approach. This is one that comes to mind. Clear for the visual. It's basically up to you now. Not only to maintain separation from traffic, but also from clouds. All right. How many GPS receivers in the A320? 2. What is alpha floor? Predictive function of the auto thrust system that commands toga power to prevent low energy state. Woo! Woo! We're firing stuff off here, man. I got to put my hat backwards because I'm heating up. It's getting hot, baby. All right, it's getting hot. A320 program today. Devansh, just for you, sir. We got a special offer on the table. Coupon code Memorial for 50% off. 50% off. Let me say it a third time. 50% off. 50% off. We never do that. It's simply not sustainable for us, but because of the Memorial Day event that we had yesterday, which I must tell you, by the way, Memorial Day is not about burgers, hot dogs, cold beer, and enjoying a 3-day weekend. It's about keeping in memory, right, those that paid the ultimate price. So we sent out an email that very much had that at the forefront of it, pay our respects to them, and as also inclusive of that email, we had a coupon code for 50% off. It expires today, just so you know, midnight tonight. So if you don't use it tonight, you're not going to have access to the half off. And I don't know when we're ever going to do that again. We rarely do that much of a discount, so take advantage while you can. All right. What does the MORA indicate on the new NDs? MORA means minimum off-route altitude. Minimum off-route altitude. All right, let me get back to this over here. Cena, hey, I take your last email as an opportunity to send you a few questions that have been on my mind since watching Joe's A320 episode about energy management. Okay, inside of our A320 course, we do have a, inside of our A320 membership, I should say, we have a course titled Energy Management, and I do very much talk about a lot of things relating to exactly that, energy management. Okay, I figured that during his entire presentation about energy management, he assumes that the mode is managed descent. Now let me reread that. I figured that during his entire presentation about energy management, he assumes that the mode managed descent is used. Oh, I understand now, Cena. Yes, for most of that course, we're talking about a managed descent. The coupon code is Memorial. Take care. Thank you for everything. Everybody say bye, Shally. The coupon code's Memorial, all right? So, all right. In the energy management program, Cena, most of what I'm talking about is managed descent. When would you use open descent instead of managed descent? There's a couple times to use an open descent. The time to use an open descent is when you don't want the airplane to follow a path, okay, a pre-calculated path, but rather you want to prioritize speed on a descent. Let me say that again. Let's say that you are descending on a managed descent path, right? And on this managed descent path, one of the things I talk about in this program is how when we're in a managed descent, we're going to have a speed window that's target speed in the descent plus or minus 20 knots. The aircraft, if high on the path, will descend and be allowed to accelerate up to target descent speed plus 20. That, if you're too high, target descent speed plus 20 is a good attempt to get back on the path, but it may not be enough. And so if we want to not limit the airplane to only plus 20 above that target descent speed, we could open descend it and roll the speed up to whatever we want and get a more aggressive descent path. So when would I use an open descent, Cena? When I want a more aggressive descent potentially. That could also be true when I want a less aggressive descent, okay? Because I could slow down as well. When does vertical speed make sense in the descent? When you want to know for certain where you're going to level off, because open descent will give you a level off stick on the navigation display. However, it is a predicted estimate as to more or less where we're going to level off, but it's not 100% accurate for the simple reason of what I just mentioned. Open descent prioritizes speed. It doesn't prioritize vertical speed, right? If I descend in vertical speed, I am descending at, let's say, 2,000 feet per minute, and let's say I'm out of 10,000 feet, I'm using vertical speed to go to 8,000 feet. Well, if I'm descending at a constant 2,000 feet per minute, I can have a very accurate estimate where I'm going to level off at 8,000 feet. If I'm descending an open descent, it's less accurate because my rate of descent isn't constant. My airspeed's constant, and therefore my rate of descent varies to maintain the constant speed. So what am I saying? All this mumbo jumbo, Joe. What I'm saying basically is, when do you want a vertical speed? Whenever you want a more accurate indication as to where you're going to level off. When you have to meet a crossing constraint, you have to cross this fix at this altitude. If you're not using managed descent, maybe you throw it into vertical speed for a moment, and you actually see, based on what vertical speed, what would level me off at an appropriate distance to meet that crossing constraint. All right, so that's one example of that. I know that during vertical speed, the airplane focuses on keeping, by the way, keep typing your questions in the chat box. I realize you guys are over here typing them. I'm just getting to these because people did send these in. And then I'll turn direction to there as well, and I'll get to those also. All right. Let's see. I know that during vertical speed, the airplane focuses on keeping the desired vertical speed while the airspeed may increase above the speed bug. Is it correct that during managed or open descent, the airplane will focus on keeping the managed selected airspeed while the vertical speed may vary? This is exactly correct. In an open descent, the airplane will focus on maintaining a speed, and the vertical speed will vary. This is why the level off stick is inaccurate, because the vertical speed varies to maintain the speed constant, and the level off is kind of an unknown because the vertical speed is all over the place. All right. So Cena, you're getting to it. All right. Let me shift attention over here. If I had an engine failure and I need to level off and build up speed, I got worried about the traffic behind me in an emergency generally. If you're the emergency, don't worry about traffic. Can a plane fly faster than superhuman? I don't know, I guess. What happens when there is input on the stick from both pilots? You get dual input. Verbally, it'll audibly say dual input. And in the case of an A320, it will sum the input from both sticks. Okay. If you want to take priority, then you have to hit the takeover push button, and then we can take priority on either side stick. All right. All right. Here's another question. Relates to the FMA on departure. If thrust reduction and acceleration altitude are the same, the SRS mode changes to climb mode when the thrust levers are set to the climb detent position. What happens if thrust reduction and acceleration altitude are not the same? I'm not sure if you have this in America, but in Europe we see it due to noise abatement. Yeah, we have it here because of noise abatement. Can you give more details on the SRS mode? So the SRS mode comes in for takeoff or go around. When you put toga with the thrust levers with flaps 1 or greater. SRS means speed reference system. It's going to give us 15 degrees nose up flight director guidance, right? At the thrust reduction altitude, we reduce the thrust. We get out of the toga, we go into thrust climb, and from there it typically shifts into a open climb. Or climb, in the case of a managed climb, right? Thrust climb, climb. Now, the acceleration simply means when does the managed speed target accelerate to 250 to begin speeding up so that we can clean up. And so really what I would tell you, whenever if there's a difference between the thrust reduction and acceleration altitude, no big deal. Typically they are the same, but if there's a separation, right, between thrust reduction and acceleration altitude, what would you expect to see differently on the FMA? Really nothing. What would be different is the phase change in the MCDU, because remember, we're in the takeoff phase throughout the takeoff roll, and the MCDU will transition to the climb phase when we reach the acceleration altitude. So typically, instead of reaching, if the thrust reduction and acceleration altitude are the same, what I would expect to see is thrust reduction to happen, the MCDU to remain in the takeoff phase, and then upon reaching the acceleration altitude, it'll swap over to the climb phase. So I would expect to see a little bit of difference in the MCDU, not so much necessarily in the FMA. All right, so that pretty much wraps up these questions here. Kevin asked about the 737-800 trim and pack logic. We have a pretty good explanation on this in the online course. You can get it for 50% off. Coupon code's Memorial, capital M. I'm going to drop it in the chat here. What other questions do you guys have while we are live from the 305? Live from the 305. Let me see who's typing here. For our military personnel, Armed Forces, Navy, Air Force, Army, we appreciate you. Yesterday, as I very much mentioned in our email, we remember those that pay the ultimate price to allow us to do exactly what I'm doing right here, which is come to you in a live stream on a camera and say anything I want to say. Freedom, baby. I love it. Okay. Last question. Elect NG, if I'm going to descend 1,000 feet, but the state only allows a vertical speed of 1,000 foot per minute, should I use open descent or vertical speed while very close to the runway with a strong tailwind? It's up to you, man. I mean, 1,000 feet, strong tailwind. Yeah, I mean, it's only 1,000 feet, right? So you can use vertical speed. I don't see any problem with that. VS, can I fly a fighter jet? Join the military. I'd love to fly an F-18 or an F-16. The Blue Angels were just here. Did you go to the air show? No?
No.
I wanted to go to that air show.
I missed that. This time.
Yeah, I missed it too. They had an air show here recently in Fort Lauderdale. Hey, let's see. We got a 3-day course coming up. June, actually this month. What am I saying? June 19th, I think is what it is. Let me open the calendar. It's going to be June. No, it's not 19th. 28, 29, 30. It's the last week. June 28, 29th, and 30, 3 days, A320 class. Come to the class, man. All right, $997 is the price. OneStepPrep.com/3 days. July 18th, 19, 20. That's where I got 18 from. July 18, 19, and 20, or 19, 20, 21, excuse me, is when we do the 737 class. OneStepPrep.com/3 days. Hope to see you there. First day, typically we talk systems, then we're going to talk about operations, and we introduce even a live flight from point A to point B. Last 3-day course we did was a big success. We did a flight from Fort Lauderdale to Orlando, and basically everything we covered in previous day 1 and 2 on day 3, we kind of wrapped it all up into a nice package with a bow on it. And yeah, man, it was a good success. It really was. And so actually we had people sending emails and calling in and saying, when is the next one going to be? Which in fact we had no answer to that until now, or until last week we came up with some dates. So let's see. Chains Rocks just signed up for the A320 PDP course. Awesome, man. And he used the coupon code. Coupon code's Memorial if you're just joining in now. In fact, let me do a little Instagram recording so I can let the people know on our Instagram. It's going to end today at midnight. All right, it's 50% off. Look forward to having you guys on our online program. We do a bunch of live streams also that are not, like this public YouTube stream, but we do live virtual calls, and we have our members participate with us here. And so I definitely look forward to having you there. It's a little more personable. Hopefully you join us with a webcam so we can actually see you, who you are, put a face to a name, so to speak, and get to speak with you here as closely as in person as we possibly can. Hope to see you too, Chains Rock. When do you think we will be faced with single pilot operation? I'm sure at some point we will be a single pilot operation. If the airlines could get rid of us, they would, man. Let's just keep it real. They're in the business of, like any business, produce as high as you can, spend as little as you can, make as much money as you can, and pay out to the investors as much as you can. That's what, if you are in the leadership position of a business, that's part of what you're trying to do, right? So, yeah, man, when's it going to happen? I don't know. I don't know when it's going to happen. I know at some point it's likely that it'll happen, but I don't know if will it be in my lifetime? I don't know. My career, I should say. I still have a ways to go in my career. It might happen. Who knows? Time will tell. We'll see. 1.3G maneuver margin. So 14 CFR Part 25 certification of airplane says we need to be able to maintain 2.5 Gs in a clean configuration. That's a positive 2.5 Gs up to -1. That's at low altitude. Okay, once we go up at altitude, our margins tend to shrink. We get 1.3 Gs of buffet margin protection. So, what does that mean? Basically, it means that at altitude, all inputs need to be slow, small, and smooth. 3 S's. Smooth, slow, small inputs. at altitude because your buffet margin protection shrinks. All right, what else we got going on? Let's see. If you fly without auto thrust for a raw data approach, does the ground speed mini still work? Do you recommend it when unstable due to weather? Ground speed mini is not dependent on auto thrust on or off. It is dependent upon managed versus selected speed. So to answer your question, yes, it will work if auto thrust is disengaged, as long as we're in managed speed. Okay. What do you think about the fly-by-wire A32NX mod as a proficient flight training tool? I'm not familiar with it, so I don't know how much I can really comment on it. Yeah, I can't comment much on it. I don't know a whole lot about it. John Harper, in the Army for junior training. Thank you for your service, for being in the military. Much appreciated. Hi there. Could you please explain how to set noise abatement settings and then how will it affect the acceleration altitude? Thanks in advance. Enrique! What's going on, Enrique? On the MCDU, on the takeoff phase, you're going to hit the perf key. Perf key, perf key. On the bottom left side and right side, you're going to see thrust reduction / acceleration, and on the bottom right side you will see EO, engine out, acceleration. So what you're going to want to do is modify those numbers on the takeoff phase. Remember, you get there by hitting the perf key. It's 2 blue numbers in thousands of feet. Thrust reduction / acceleration, whatever the noise abatement procedure says, it should list out when to do the thrust reduction and when to do the acceleration altitude. You're just going to type it in there with a /, follow the format, and input it there. The numbers will be in blue. Remember, in the A320, blue you can do, and green you cannot modify. All right, blue you can modify, green you cannot. So just modify it on the perf takeoff page. All right, slow, smooth, small. You got it. Woo! What else we got going on? 3 days. 24 hours of training. Hope to see you join us either in person or virtually. If you're in Miami, please stop by. Even if it's not to come to the course, just come and say hello. So we can shake hands, take a picture, sit down and have a cup of coffee and just talk about airplane stuff. Doesn't that sound fun? I think it sounds kind of fun. All right. My stomach is grumbling because I'm hungry. We're probably going to go head out here and get some lunch pretty soon. I got the microphone right here next to my stomach. Maybe you can hear it. Coupon codes Memorial for 50% off. It ends today at midnight. Actually at 11:59. All right, so go grab it while you can. Paps was a general, died in battle, so I thought I should pay him respects and go after him. Wow, man. Hats off to him, brother. Really. That's what yesterday was about, man. It's really about focusing in on those that pay the ultimate price and continue to pay the price so that we can sit here and do live streams and talk to you guys about this kind of stuff. So thank you, John. Appreciate you all. Hey, onestepprep.com is the website. We got a lot of great things going on. Can't even begin to share. Some of them I can and can't share with you. The one I can share with you, you've heard me say already, is we're offering half off through the rest of today. Some other things that are ongoing behind the scenes at some point soon, we'll bring you some other stuff that's happening here behind the scenes. But in the interim, please continue to stay connected with us via YouTube, via Instagram. Let's do a little Instagram feed here. For everyone on Instagram, we're live on YouTube. All right, and if you want to take advantage, there's Hector in the house. Okay, Javier. If you want to take advantage, 50% off. Coupon code's Memorial, and it expires tonight at 11:59. Go grab it. Hey, One Step Prep is our handle on Instagram. Follow us there if you want to see me doing weird things with hat backwards and offering crazy coupon codes like what I just did. Really love talking to you guys in this chat, man. So many good questions come through. Somebody asked me last week, what is my exercise routine? Had nothing to do with aviation. They said, what is Joe's exercise routine? It's, I can tell you what it is, all right? I'm in the gym 4 days a week, and right now I'm training to run a 10K. That's 6.2 miles, and I'm actually donating all the money that I'm raising to 5 student pilots that are looking to pay for their flight lessons. Hoping to raise $5,000, match that $5,000 to bring it to a grand total of $10,000, and then take the $10,000, divide it up amongst 5 student pilots, and give everybody a check. All right, the people that submit and are chosen to be a recipient of the money. A350 is a great plane, Hashendra. That's what I can tell you about it. Nice jet, fly-by-wire, good MCDU software load. The bird is always up. That's the flight path vector from what I understand. It's always up. Very advanced vertical descent planning on the MCDU load. It's got a long range. Plane is just sexy. It just looks clean, man. That's A350. In fact, let me see if I can find
The best cockpits.
It's got a nice cockpit. Thing looks like a spaceship. I really dig that 350. Let me see. Woo! Look at that thing. It's a nice jet, man. It just looks sleek. Let me put a little picture up behind me here. Let's see. Open image. This one is actually... no, it's not good resolution. Let's see. Yeah, here we go. Check this thing out. Yeah, it's a good jet, man. What can I tell you? I mean, bam. I think what I like most about this A350 really is the MCDU. The MCDU load, because it's very capable with vertical planning. The A320's top of descent planning and vertical planning is a bit antiquated, all right? I talk about it in the energy management program, how we have an idle path, we have a geometric path, and basically once we enter the descent phase in the MCDU, we're stuck there. In terms of speed, if I put in a 300 knot descent and I enter the descent phase, I'm stuck at a 300 knot descent. Now there's workarounds to that. I could trick it and back it up, and instead of being in the descent phase, I can back it up to the cruise phase. I can change the descent speed and I can re-enter the descent phase. There's little workarounds, which I talk about, but the 350 is very much more capable in terms of the MCDU. All right, let me put my plane back up. Bam! So hey, let's see. If I get the annual membership, will I be able to join for the 3 days? Ivan. Unfortunately not, Ivan. That's actually two separate things. The 3-day course is separate from the videos. However, I will tell you this. If you join the 3-day course, you will get the videos for 90 days. So if I were you, I would just join the 3-day in-person or virtual stream. And then we'll work with you for those 3 days, and then you'll get 90 days. You'll get the platinum option. You'll get 90 days worth of videos. So I would certainly take advantage of that. Is there a 90 or 80 knot call out on the A350? Probably a 100 knot call out. A 100 knot call out is A320 standard. So I would imagine if the 350 is anything like the 320 call outs, it's probably 100 knots. You know, that's where they do it. It's kind of funny because Boeing does 80 knots check, and Airbus does 100 knots check. And then on the deceleration, on the touchdown, Boeing does 60 knots and Airbus does 70 knots. It's almost like we had to be different, can't be the same, so let's just change it by 10 knots. Okay, I don't know if that's the case or not. It's what it seems like to me. All right, hey, appreciate you guys being here with me. We're going to sign off for now. Last time, coupon codes memorial. It expires tonight. Love doing these live streams with you. If you want to do a little more private, intimate, in-person experience via Zoom, where we actually I have a screen in front of me. I'm not only looking at a camera, I also have a TV screen in front of me. So typically when we do our Zoom meetings, I can actually be looking at you as well. And we talk very much like we're in person, man, right here. And so I just love to do those with you all, answer questions, help you out in your career progression. I'm part of several WhatsApp chats that have to do with scholarship, mentorship programs for pilots up and coming and that kind of thing. And so just hope to somehow, some way connect with you and be able to add value to you and your life. That's really what it amounts to. Ryan, last question. Auto thrust is generally meant to be engaged. Generally, it's meant to be engaged, yes. You don't necessarily need to remove it with the autopilot. Sometimes some people will say autopilot off, auto thrust off, but you could very much fly with auto thrust on and autopilot off. But generally, if it's there, we use it as a resource, and so I would tell you, use it. All right. Hey, Joe Munoz is the name, onestepprep.com. Juan and Joe, JJ all day, live from the 305. Appreciate you all being here. We'll see you in the next live stream, which I presume is going to be later on this week at some point. I'm not sure exactly when. I do have a very full, busy week with sims. I'm doing A320 sims all week long. As I teach those sims, little things pop up where I say, wow, that'd be a good YouTube video about that, a good video about this. Maybe I put up some kind of something of value inside of a course that relates to this. And so I'm going to be looking, as always, for different things inside of these sims that I'm going to be doing this week. And at some point soon, hopefully get back in here, do another live stream with you guys and bring it to you. All right, so have a great week ahead. Have a great day. Stay in touch. Reach out to us via our website. And I'll see you in our next live stream.
Yes.